Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the She.Must.Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week. I had a great week. I mean, I always have a great week, but nothing wrong with that, right? Last Saturday I had my trunk show at the Knitting Basket and it was just lovely. Angie was a lovely host and everybody who came, thank you so much. It was so nice to be able to spend time with you and just knit and talk about knitting, and just, it was a lovely day. So now that that's over, I just have one more show to get ready for. It's the ColorWORK-IT show on June 9th, and after that, things should just calm down so nicely, and it will be summertime, and then Avery will be home, and then we'll be running all over the place, but whatever. So what do we have today? What do I have for you? I have a finished object, I have progress on my mystery toy knit along, and I have progress on the project that I talked about last week, and then I have something to show you that I'm planning on casting on very soon. So, and then of course I have my collection. So let's get started. I'm just going to have a quick sip of my tea like always. This is another one of the Seven Sisters tea order that I did last week. This was actually a sample that they threw in with my order. It's an After 8 rooibos, so it's like a chocolate mint rooibos. It's pretty good. I think, yeah, it's very good. I think I would add this to my order if I was going to do another order with them. It's just perfect. So let's get started with my finished object. I am so excited this is done, even though I'm not going to be able to wear it, but that's okay. It'll be ready for when the cooler weather comes in the fall. So I finished my Passerine hat. So there we go. I'm really pleased with this. You can see I've talked about this the last couple of weeks, but I did my double brim instead of the ribbed brim that the pattern called for, and I do have a video on that if you're interested to see how I did that. And then I did my color work, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It does look a little shallow, but that's because I don't know if I have a small head or a short head or just, I don't know, but I find I have to take about an inch off. Like whenever a hat says knit to so many inches before starting the decreases on the top, I have to shorten that about an inch. And I will try this on for you, and I like how it fits. It's not slouchy, but I think it fits really nicely as like a little beanie. So there we go. See, the double brim covers my ears just perfectly, and I really like how the contrast edge looks. I'm really happy with that. And then there's my ColorWORK birds. So I have not blocked this, and you know what? I don't think I will. I know usually with blocking that helps even out the color work, but you know what? I found that using the technique that I talked about when I was doing the stripes and stranded socks, where you kind of block as you go and you just give your stitches a little tug. I did that all throughout this hat, and then I also mentioned last week how when I had a look at it, and there were, if there were any areas where the contrast color was peeking through the main color, I just kind of went in with a darning needle and even those stitches out. And you know what? For me, that is enough. That is enough. I try not to, okay, I don't want to say I try not to. I don't like to block things if it's not necessary. Like I will block like the little sock arm sweater that I'm working on for my friend's daughter. I block the body of that just to even things out and to make the size right and to make it easier to put the sleeves in. I probably won't block it after I finish the sleeves. When I do garments for myself, I will usually either spray block them just to even things out or steam block them. I really don't like wet blocking things, and I didn't want the size to drastically change on this. Like if I wanted to change the shape, or if it was too small and I wanted to make it a little bigger, then I probably would have blocked it, but I like the size that it is. I'm happy with the fabric that I have, and I didn't want it to grow. This is a superwash yarn. These are both superwash yarns, and I didn't want it to grow. So I decided not to block it, and that'll be fine. I don't think it's going to get all that dirty when I wear it, but it should stay like this. So yeah, project done. I can now check off. This was the last project on my Crafty bingo, where I had a square where I wanted to knit 3 hats this year. This is the 3rd hat, so now I get to check that box off. I still don't have a full row of bingo, but I'm getting close. So that project is done, and I'm very happy with it. I would absolutely, absolutely make this pattern again if I wanted another bird hat. But yeah, I really did enjoy the pattern. And I'm so glad that, I mean, that pattern has been in my queue and in my library. I bought it at least 3 years ago, and now I have made it. And that's one of the things I love about my bingo goals, is that I'm trying to get myself to use patterns that I bought ages ago, use yarn that I've had for years, and just appreciate what I have and use what I have. So that's done, and I'm very, very pleased with it. So now that my hat is done, I can enter it into the ColorWORK-IT KAL. This is the KAL that I'm doing in the Bling Your String group for any color work project. It can be any project, big or small, any type of color work, as long as you're manipulating at least 2 colors in, you know, stranded color work, intarsia, brioche, whatever, you can enter it in my KAL. So that hat is going to go in the KAL. It's the perfect project for that. And now that that's done, I need to start another color work project. And the project I am going to start is one of Lisa Ross, her sock patterns. She has some beautiful sock patterns and collections, and like I've mentioned before, she has very kindly donated one of her collections for the final prize of the KAL, and then some single patterns to give away during the KAL. And so I really, really have been wanting to cast on one of her sock patterns, and I am going to be casting on the Impossibly Possible socks. These socks were part of her Alice in Wonderland collection that she's done recently, and I just love how these look. I need to make, well, I don't need to. I am choosing to make a pair of socks for one of my friends for her birthday, and I think these will work really well for them. The pattern is originally written for like a mini skein set that you change as you go up the sock, and then you use a contrast color as the pattern over top. So this pattern uses mosaic knitting, where you slip your stitches. You're only working with 1 color per row, which is why I think mosaic knitting is a really, really nice introduction if you've never done color work before. And mosaic knitting also works for the KAL. So yes, the pattern uses mini skeins with a contrast color. I've decided I'm going to try doing it with a self-striping skein of yarn and then a contrast color, just to see. I think it will work. I mean, it's the same concept, right? You have stripes of color. It's just, instead of there being like larger areas of those background stripes, they'll be repeated more frequently, but I think that'll be fun. So the main color I am using is this one here, and this is a White Birch Fiber Arts, and I think this one was called Hope. I don't know if she repeats this one. I don't think I've seen it. I haven't really been following her much, just because I can't buy her yarn right now and it kills me. I love her yarn. Her striping yarn is amazing, so if you can buy yarn, go check out her shop. But I have a bunch of skeins of hers, and I'm just enjoying using them every time, like in the stripes and stranded socks. That was White Birch Fiber Arts as well. So I'm going to be using this as the background, and then I was looking for a color that would contrast with these but still kind of coordinate with these for that kind of over slip stitch color. And I didn't really find something in my stash, so I decided to look through my mini skeins and see if there was something in there I could over dye. And that's something I'll do a lot, because especially this year, because I'm trying to use my stash. I will look and see what I have, and then if I can change it to be what I want it to be. So I had this mini skein in my stash that I think I got as part of a yarn box shipment. It was like a Luette mini gem or something like that. And it was like this pale, like sagey mint color. And I knew I probably wasn't going to use it as is. But I was like, it's a pale color. Pale colors are perfect for over dyeing. So I decided to over dye it. So this is the White Birch Fiber Arts, and this is the Luette color that I over dyed. Now, can you see all those little specks of white? Newbie mistake. I threw this in my water solution for soaking and then dyed it, and I failed to check the ties. Now, if you've worked with skeins of yarn, you know how there's ties to kind of keep the strands from getting tangled. Usually they're not that tight, and I forgot to check, and these ones were extremely tight. And so after I dyed it, I could tell that the dye didn't go under those really, really tight ties, and I was like, no, I don't want to have to do this again, because I want to be ready to go. But I think with the colors in this yarn, those little blips will just show up every once in a while. It might be a cool effect. If I start and I really, really hate it, I will take it out, I will reskein this, and I will re-dye it to get rid of those little blips. But I'm lazy and I really don't want to, so we will see if it works. If it works, great. If not, I'll deal with it. But yeah, so I over-dyed this, and I think that will be a nice contrast to go over these colors for the slip stitch stitches. So yes, that I will be casting on soon. Okay, so the next thing is, what is the next thing? The next thing is progress on my Fuzzy Mitten mystery toy knit along. So I've showed you the last couple of weeks we've been working on the companion toy, and I did the little fairy. And last week we got our clue for the first part of the main toy, and I finished it. And there are guesses flying around in the group, and I really hope those guesses are accurate, because if it is what people are guessing it's going to be so cute. Oh my god, I can't wait to finish. So I have the body for you. I'm going to show it to you first, and then I'll tell you what people are guessing, and you can see if you guess the same thing. But okay, I think this is the front. So here is the next clue. This is clue 3 of the mystery toy knit along, and I think this is the front because there's a little bit of shaping right here. I think it's supposed to be like a belly button or something. But yeah, it's got the little legs, and then you can see Barbara always puts, if there's an area in the pattern where you need to refer back to it later, like to attach something, she'll have you put little markers in. So these are where the arms are going to be attached. And we just got clue 4, and I think what we're doing is picking up and making the head. Now, I had mentioned for the companion toy that I had taken her pattern and made it to work in the round. Usually Barbara knits all her patterns flat and then to be seamed. For this clue, I just followed her directions as is. I knit it flat and I seamed it, and it was fine. I don't mind seaming. I enjoy it, so it was fine. So it's got seams up the legs and seams up the back. Now, do you see something going on with this little body? Like, say, like this thing right here, and like this right here, and like that thing right there. I think I'm going to have to make another one of these. Now, this was pretty quick. I did this yesterday over 2 sessions. So like one in the afternoon, and then after dinner when Avery goes to the park with Daddy, I finished it up. So it was pretty quick. I think I could easily make another one. I think I'm going to have to make another one because Mr. T loves this thing. He has stolen it from me at least 2 times so far. So last night I finished it, and I put it on my little table, you know, putting all the stuff that I want to talk about, I put on a table, I put it on the little table. And then within 30 minutes, I was working at my desk, and he starts running around like a crazy animal. And I look at him, and he has this in his mouth. Little bugger, he stole it off my table, and he was running around with it in his mouth. And he was just, you could just see he was so pleased with himself. So I let him play with it for a little bit, and then I took it from him and I put it on my desk. Well, this morning I come down and it is gone again. The little bugger stole it off my desk, and he had it hidden upstairs somewhere, and he has just been loving this thing. I think part of it is just, it's very light, and I think the shape of it, it's just very easy for him to grab in his mouth and carry around. He has just been treating this like it's his little, like, I don't know, like dead prey thing from like if he was a wild cat. I don't know, but he has been loving it. And I was actually thinking, because I'm working on that sweater for my friend's little girl for her birthday, the other day I had the thought, I was like, oh, this little toy set might be really, really cute to give along with that sweater. Well, I can't give it. I could probably fix these. Honestly, if I wanted to, I could go in with a needle and kind of pull all these little pulls in. But for as quick as it was to make this, I think I might just make another one and like sew this little head up so that he can't get at the stuffing, and just give this one to Mr. T and make another one, because he is so cute running around with this in his mouth. It's so weird. Animals are so weird. What they, like, he has a whole box of toys that I've spent money on that, you know, he plays with here and there. This thing, though, he has been loving this thing. So I might make another one. You might see a brand new one next week with a head. We'll see. But yeah, so that's the body. So in the group, people are guessing. Did you make your guess yet? People are guessing that this is going to be a unicorn. Oh, I really hope it's a unicorn. That would be so cute. I was looking at the pattern, and Barbara says to use either a white or an off-white for the body, and then there's another color yarn that you need for an embellishment, and then scrap yarn. That's all she says is scrap yarn. And I'm wondering if maybe the scrap yarn is for like the mane and the tail, if it was a unicorn, like all different colors. Oh, I think that would be so cute. We're just going to have to see, and I'm going to keep following along in the group, and we'll just have to see what it is, but I think it would be adorable if it was a unicorn with a little fairy. Adorable. So we will see. I will be working on that probably, you know, maybe over the weekend. We'll see. I don't know. Whatever. I just knit what I want when I want. So yeah, so that is the progress on the mystery knit along. Next I have for you, oh, and I should mention, I'm using mostly scraps for that project, so I don't always remember what yarns I'm using, but the only white yarn in worsted weight that I had in my stash was a Cascade 220 Superwash. So that's what I'm using, and I think it will work well, especially if I end up giving it to my friend's little girl as part of her birthday present. I don't have to worry if they need to wash it or whatever. So, so yeah, that's that. Next, I have progress on my Mae sweater. So I talked about last week how my plan was to cast on the Mae and hopefully finish it by the end of this month. There are two KALs that I really want to enter this sweater into. One is by the Braid and Tinker podcast, and it's Gonna Be Mae KAL, so everybody's making the Mae, and it ends at the end of May. So if I'm going to enter that one, I need to get this done by the end of May. The other KAL is the Be A Fade KaL hosted by the Codependent Knitters, and it can be any faded project, and it goes till the end of August, so I have time for that one. I'm planning on making this faded. It's not written to be faded, but I'm really trying to use my stash this year, so I went through all my fingering yarn, and I picked out some colors that I thought would go together. It's written to be knit with worsted weight yarn, but I'm going to be doubling fingering, because when you double fingering, you get about a worsted weight thickness. So I have started with my first color, and I'm happy with how it's knitting up. Now it's pretty much a tonal color, so I mean it's not going to do anything crazy anyway. But this is my progress so far. I really like how this color is knitting up. I'm still in the ribbing. I probably have about a ½ inch of ribbing left before I can start transitioning in the second color. And this is the second color that I'm going to be transitioning in. And you can see how it's a slightly lighter shade of gray, and there's still some green in there, and then there's some pops of purple coming in, because some of the other yarns that I have more purple in them. I'm basically fading from a darker gray at the bottom up into lighter grays, and then the top is like a light gray with purple specks. So I'm starting to bring in some purple and more of a medium gray. So once I get to 3 inches of the ribbing, I'm going to start holding one strand of this color and one strand of this color for 3 inches further to fade these colors in, and then I'll be holding 2 strands of this color together for 3 inches going forward, and then the next color and the next color. So 1 and 1 of each that I'm fading, and then 2 of the one as I go up to the other colors. I just started this, I think 2 days ago, maybe? Yeah, 2 days ago, because I needed to do, this pattern needed, and not because of the way it was written or anything, but this pattern needed some pre-planning for me. Because I'm doing it faded, I had to kind of figure out how many inches of each color am I going to get if I want to get all my colors in all the way up to the top of the neckline, right? And so I had to look at the measurements, and I had to look at the schematic, and she does include a schematic, and I had to look at the final length that the tunic was going to be, And then also I wanted to compare that to a tunic that I already own, because I do wear a lot of tunics, and so I went into my closet and I pulled out one that I know I like the length of, and I measured that. And that was 30 inches long. And this pattern, when I looked at all the measurements given in the schematic, was going to be about 25 inches long. So I was like, okay, I know I'm going to want it a little bit longer. So I had to factor that into, when I figured out how many inches of each color I was going to do, I had to factor that in. And then also, I had to make some changes with the size that I'm knitting. Normally, if I was working this pattern as is with one strand of yarn and following her needles and everything, I would make the second largest size. I think it's written for a 44-inch bust, and I'm a 45. So I would make that size because it is also written to include 12 inches of positive eaves on top of that measurement. So I would do that size. However, when I looked at the needle sizes she was using a 6.5 for the ribbing and an 8mm for the body. Now I know that there's a stitch pattern that she uses for the body, but I just feel for myself an 8mm on worsted weight yarn would give way more of a looser fabric than I would like. And I know I said swatch, and everybody's like, well, if you'd swatch, you'd know, but I don't swatch. Unless I absolutely have to, I don't swatch. I know, naughty, 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 but that's fine. I decided that I'm going to do the body on a smaller needle, just because I prefer not a dense fabric, like I don't want to wear a cardboard sweater, but I just prefer a slightly tighter fabric than I think the 8mm is going to give me. And so I'm going to do it on a 6.5. And for that reason, I've decided to do the largest size. I'm going to do the largest size on a smaller needle, and we'll just see how it goes. Like, I need a bigger size for my bottom half anyway. And so what I usually do is I start on that, especially since this is bottom up, it's perfect. I start down there, and then as I go up the body, I will just keep measuring the width that I'm getting. And if I need to decrease to get to a smaller size for my upper bust and my shoulders, then I will do that. But we will just see as I go. That's what I tend to do with most of my projects. I kind of go in with what I think is going to work and what makes sense in my brain, and then we just see as we go and make adjustments if necessary. Very rarely is it like so wrong that I have to rip everything out. So we'll see. So yeah, so that's my progress so far, and I was going to say, I hope to have, you know, a little bit more next week. No, I need to have a little bit more next week. If I want to get this sweater done by the end of May, next week is pretty much almost the end of May. So I need to be probably into my, like, if we're counting each solid color and each shaded color as one, like, individual colors, and there's 10 total, I need to be at least into, like, color 5, right? At least, like, if not more than that. So we will see. I need to get a move on this, but fingers crossed I can do it. I'm sure I can if I wanted to, but we'll see. I'm just gonna go as it goes, and whatever happens, happens. It's just knitting, right? Right. I think that is all the knitting that I have today. So next is the collection. Last week I showed you two fabrics. I showed you a bird fabric, and I showed you the seahorses. And the birds won hands down. I think there were 1 or 2 votes for the seahorses, but everybody else voted for the birds. So I did the collection around the birds. And so I have those to show for you. I always say show for you. It's not show for you. I have these to show to you. These are the bags here. Now, I really like how they turned out with the accent fabric that I showed you. Remember, I had accent fabrics that I thought would go really well with either fabric. I love how it turned out with the accent fabrics. Because these prints were a bigger scale, and I could have done one big bag, but I didn't want to do just one big bag. I made sure that each one has a bird on the front, but they will be in different areas. See, this guy's over here. So each one has a bird on the front of the bag. Some of them don't have any on the back, but each one will have at least one bird on the front of the bag. And yeah, so I like how these turned out with the branches and the accents. I'm really pleased. So there's 3 bags, And then I did a whole bunch of yarn this week. I asked you what kind of yarn you wanted to see, and several people were like yes to 100 gram skeins. So I did 2 100 gram skeins. So here they are here. So I did like the deep purple the base, and it's tonal. So there's different areas or different depths of the purple. And then I did the mint and all the little specklies on the mint. So I think those are really, really pretty. I think they turned out nice. I like them. Of course I like them, but I like how those turned out. So these are the 2 100 gram skeins, and they are a 75-25 wool nylon superwash blend. So like a typical sock blend. And then I also did 2 sock sets. So the sock sets are the same main skein, so kind of like the tonal purple with the mint speckles and the olives and browns. And then I did just like a different tone of purple for the heels and toes. So those are the sock sets. I have 2 of those. And then I also did sock blanks. And so the sock blanks, one turned out a little darker than the other, so in the pan it took up a little bit more color. But that's fine. Alright, so let's see here. These are the sock blanks. So you can see it's got the tonal purples with all the minty speckles. Very cool. I love how these turn out. They're always so different. So that's the one, and then this is the lighter one. So again, speckly, speckly. There we go. So those are the So 2 sock blanks, 2 sock sets, 2 100 gram skeins, and 3 bags. Those will all be up in the shop later. And then for the vote for next week, oh, I think both of these fabrics are really, really cute. I'm excited to see what you vote for. And the first one is sloths. Oh, it is so hard to find. I had, when I was at the Frolic, one of the ladies who came through the booth was asking if I had any sloth fabrics. And I was like, you know what? I know they're out there, but they're not like readily available. A lot of sloth fabrics are like the ones that you have to custom order. And, you know, I had seen ones that were like realistic, like photographic sloths, but not a lot of cute sloths. And then I was doing an order somewhere and I saw this one and I was like, oh, these are adorable. Look at their little faces. Happy little sloths. So I thought this would be a really, really cute fabric. So choice number 1 is sloths. And then choice number 2 is these little woodland creatures. Look at their little faces too. Everybody has happy little faces. There's hedgehogs, little squirrel, rabbit, bear, it's a fox. Yeah, so I think these are really cute too. So that is choice number 2. So let me know what I should do for next week's collection, sloths or woodland creatures, and I will do that. I will put something together for that. I really love doing these collections. I hope you enjoy them too. I know there's been comments that you really enjoy, you know, seeing the collections. I just like the ideas. I want you to know that you can participate and vote and give me suggestions, and don't feel that you have to actually go to my shop and like check out the items, because by doing these collections, it helps me have a kind of like a consistent stream of inventory going into my shop. And then when I have a show, there's just so much less that I have to do to get ready for it, because I already have all this stuff. So this is just a fun thing for me. I love working with the fabrics. I love, sometimes the fabrics will take me in color directions that I wouldn't have gone if I was just, you know, playing with the dyes. So this whole collection thing is fun for me too, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. So yeah, that is all I have for you this week. I hope you have a great week. I hope you're enjoying the weather wherever you are. We are. It is finally feeling like summer is coming. I hope you get to make all the things and knit everything you want, and I will see you soon. Bye.